Good morning, I'm Christopher Heimerman, and today we're going to talk about dual diagnosis. I have great news for a lot of people. Alcohol is a symptom, not the root of your cause, or the root of your problem. So that means if we can get to the root of the problem, maybe we could fix that whole alcoholism thing. The thing about me is I'm dual diagnosed, which means that I have an alcohol addiction, and I also have mental illness, anxiety, and depression. So if I'm not careful, I might have double the diagnosis and double the guilt. I might beat myself up for being mentally ill, and then in turn I'll also beat myself up for having an alcohol addiction. As a mentally ill person, here was kind of the thought process. Can't feel stuff, can't figure out what's wrong, drink. Feeling too much stuff, need to numb that, drink. Don't understand my feelings, you might have guessed it, have a drink. Get rid of that confusion and feel like everybody else, or appear to feel like everybody else. So this is the case for me, and I have a feeling that it's the case for a lot of people. And that's why, I've brought up SMART meetings, which are kind of an alternative to AA, because one of the reasons why AA didn't work for me, at least my specific sponsorship tree, was because you had this room full of people insisting on self-flagellating and just perpetually beating themselves up. I've spent my entire life beating myself up, being hard on myself, being insecure. So doing that in AA kind of felt redundant, we'll call it. So, but there's a lot of really good stuff in here. There's a lot of really good stuff in the big book. Read it in treatment, read it twice. There's good stuff in here that speaks to what led to my alcoholism. So let me sort of run down the bullet points. It talks about mental illness. It talks about trauma, and trauma obviously informs mental illness for many. It also talks about alcoholism as an allergy. And let me explain that a little bit. Many of us, myself included, are wired in a way we're chemically built, our brains function, that when we drink, we have what the big book describes as an allergic reaction, which effectively means that our brain doesn't say, oh, that feels good having a beer or two. It says, okay, I know you're still drinking that beer, but we're going to need more. We're going to need to get to that high. We need to get to that buzz that we used to feel. More. As a lot of my fellow recovering alcoholics put it, they'd have a drink and their allergy would cause them to break out in handcuffs. I always got a kick out of that. And I also feel fortunate that that was never the case for me. I got off light. So we got the mental illness and trauma, we've got allergy, we have life circumstances. I took a promotion and kept climbing the ladder within the company I was working for, and the conditions obviously acted as, if the mental illness, the trauma and the allergy were like a little, bonfire, the work situation was an absolute accelerant. It took a bad problem and made it an absolute inferno. And here's just a couple of circumstantial things for me, and I know a bunch of you can identify this. I had excellent taste in beer. I loved craft beer. I was always seeking something that was new and interesting. It's kind of like being a foodie, where you always want to try something new. And a lot of that stemmed from the fact that I am from Wisconsin, where we drink Wisconsibly, which is the most ridiculous tagline of all time, because it sounds like you drink responsibly, but in all actuality what they're saying is drink Wisconsibly, drink like somebody from Wisconsin, because boy, we're awfully good at it. So you add all of that up and you have the cause of my alcoholism. I am not absolving myself from the things that I have done, the mistakes that I've made. It was me who drove over that stop sign. It was me who drank while driving. It's me who did a lot of things that I should have been nabbed for and put in jail for. However, I'm not going to beat myself up for being an alcoholic or a recovering alcoholic, because I know that there are a lot of contributing factors. And when I take my medication, when I see my therapist, when I exercise, when I eat right, when I do all of those things that address my mental illness, guess what? it's a lot easier for me to not reach for a drink. So we're finally in this day and age where some of the stigma has been lifted on mental illness. And because of that, we can get to the root of the problem and cut down on the alcoholism if we simply preach the gospel. So again, kudos to you guys for being part of this conversation and part of the solution. So I want to circle back to a point there about AA. I'm never going to stand here and bash AA because I know that it's a case-by-case basis. I fell in with a sponsorship tree that was very militant. I was basically told if I didn't follow their rules and structure, I would get drunk and I would die. Probably a little extremist, am I right? So if you go to AA, which has helped millions upon millions of people with alcoholism, pick your sponsor wisely. I was told in treatment to get a sponsor as soon as possible. Get a sponsor, get a sponsor, get a sponsor. Which to a certain extent is true, but you have to go into it with the mentality that when you get that sponsor, you want to find somebody who has what you want. Whether it's the spiritual angle, whether it's a more militant and structured angle, a lot of people need that. So you want to find a sponsor who has what you want. If you pick that sponsor and they turn out to not be what you expected, if they tell you to do things that, look, getting out of your comfort zone is important. A lot of people need that. But if they tell you to do things that betray like your moral constructs or things that don't make sense, find a new sponsor. Find a new meeting. Find meetings and sponsors who help you become a better you. I know it sounds simple, and I know that some of us need tough love, but some of us need a nurturing atmosphere where we are getting what we need to get better. Makes sense, right? So that's my spiel on dual diagnosis, and I hope that you find it informative. It is also Feedback Friday, so hit the comments section. Let me know what you're enjoying about this. Let me know what you want more of. I have a voracious appetite for information, for theories, for methods and tools. So what you want to know more about, I will go and find it so that we can discuss it. Hey, good news, it's marathon weekend. I will be running my virtual Milwaukee Marathon Sunday morning, so I will not be here Sunday morning to do a video. And tomorrow I'm going to be sharing a bit more into my thought process as I approach 1 year from being released from treatment and diving right into a marathon the next day. So I'm very excited. I'm very excited to share this weekend and this experience with you. And thanks, for lack of a better way to put it. So let's wrap this thing up. As always, I love all of you very much. I'm so grateful for you. The world is not coming apart. We are coming together. Going to get better every day. I promise you, if we simply lean on each other and share the love. Have yourself an awesome Friday. We'll talk soon.